Welcome back to Sci-Fi Book Trek. We're continuing our discussion about Arthur C. Clarke's Rendezvous with Rama. This will be the spoiler edition. So, nitpicks?
I don't really have,
That's the thing, I don't really have nitpicks.
because it's so, scientifically writ. Very hard to have nitpicks because he's thought about everything and
it does feel pretty tight as a script. Well, I say as a script. As a novel, it is pretty tight. He's kind of gone into the details where he needs to. There were some parts I was kind of amused. The space card. I mean, we're in an age now. It wasn't too long ago that America decided to make the Space Force.
I believe it's still a thing, but yeah.
I think it is. The parallels to real life were kind of funny.
Yeah. However, I do think having sort of the diplomatic thing on the moon,
again,
that I found that is logical, straightforward, and sensible.
Yes.
I don't think it would ever happen. Earth would never give that up.
How dare you bring logic into God's house?
Earth would say, no, we don't care if you can't survive in our gravity. You come down here and talk to us.
See, the thing is, all I could think of was Earth pulling a Brexit. We don't want to be managed by the moon. What's the moon ever done for us? But then as you start to read further, it's like, oh no, it's Mercury that's pulling a Brexit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it does highlight, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, but I mean that was the when Clarke talks about where is it? When he talks about the meeting of the Rama committee, and that it's filled with old conservative scientists, it's the same faces that they have seen year on year on year, and there's never anything. You can literally tell what someone is going to say because they've said it 100 times before, and that amused me. It's like, yeah, he's got a handle on politics as well.
And when he thinks, oh, well, no one's going to pay attention to this session because action's happening elsewhere. Oh, look, some people didn't bother showing up to this. And he's like, yeah. Oh, that's the thing. In the book, it is very neutral.
Yes.
And it just presents it as, well, this happens. It gives no emotion to, anything. Anything Mercury does or anything. Even the captain and stuff, they don't feel there's emotion towards some of the things that have happened.
Yeah. But that comes back to sort of what we were saying earlier about Clarke's sort of connection to the humans. The humans are sort of they're there, they're doing things. The emotional connection is more to the scope and grandeur of Rama itself.
Yeah. And the mystery within.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, even when it touches on religion.
Yeah.
It's also still very, I don't want to say cold and clinical, but it still feels detached. And it's just presenting it as it is, not.
The part where you're reading, oh yeah, this is the fifth church of...
Yeah, the fifth church of, I've got it written down somewhere. Yeah, the fifth church of Christ Cosmonaut.
Yes. And their belief is literally that Jesus was an alien.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Some people do believe.
You
might, there are some religious...
Yeah, but
in
you
America
might read that and think, oh, for fuck's sake, where is he going with this? It's played totally straight. You've got the one guy, Boris, who's a fervent believer,
Mm.
and he goes like, "Oh yes, Captain, is it possible for me to send a message home to the Mother Church? Because this might change everything that we believe
Yeah.
about our belief structure." And it's like, you think Jesus was an alien? You're playing this dead straight?
Yeah.
All right, this is interesting. And he, you know,
Like,
you
he
could
does that a
easily
few
make a
times, yeah.
joke.
Yeah, but he does it. It's just like
Hail Xenu.
the book is very uncynical.
Not like,
I
not
would
like the
say
pair of us.
I wouldn't say it's positive either. I would say it's very just neutral. It treats humanity as like, yeah, this is what I do.
Mm.
It feels like an alien looking at humans
Yeah,
more than
that
a human story sort of thing.
yeah, that is an interesting take on it.
And like,
It's
considering there's no actual aliens in it, I mean, you could argue whether they're machines.
the biots.
Yeah, whether they're machines or animals,
Mm.
but there's no intelligence that's met. And like, I do kind of like that, just because it underlines, we're not that important.
Yeah, we're not alone in the
We're
universe.
just a gas station, if anything at all.
That was another thing that was interesting. It's like, we're not even the target of Rama's.
Yeah.
It wasn't an alien race coming to say hello. It wasn't an alien race coming to stamp humanity into the dirt.
Like,
It was literally a gas station stop on the way to somewhere else.
They probably didn't even know we existed.
Yeah.
And
the idea
we'll probably never know.
Yeah. I had a moment of amusement when they're trying to open the airlock at first. And you got the two guys struggling against this airlock, trying to get it open. And then they suddenly go, "What if we tried it the other way?" Oh, yeah, okay. How long do you think they were pushing against it? And it's like, should we try the other way? Oh, we can't. Oh yeah, okay. And it just completely freewheels really easily. Oh yeah, our sociological concepts of clockwise are different.
Well,
that's what's convinced him to turn.
Yeah, I think there it was more Clarke pointing out like that everything's different. Up's going to be down for one. You're going to be confused.
Yeah, and the whole up is down element does come in quite a lot, because you're on this basic licorice torpedo. And at any point you can look up and go, "Oh yeah, that's another 9 kilometers of land up there."
But also initially, because they're in 0G, they're climbing to go down. They're climbing up.
Yeah,
and then they have to turn.
And then halfway round, it's like, no, this is going to throw my brain out.
Yeah,
because now I started to feel like I'm falling towards the ground head first.
I do like all the science bits in it, and everything's like logical, from a human standpoint, and like what a human would probably do.
I think the mystery aspect of that is,
because it takes like half the book for the lights to come on.
That was interesting. They're spending so much time sort of ferreting around in the dark, and the description of half the camp is not able to get to sleep because it is so dead. It is so quiet. There is no noise whatsoever.
No winds.
And it's actually causing people to have insomnia because they're used to hearing something. And all that's happening
even
is
just like rumbles of engines or stuff in space and stuff. Yeah.
Any sound that's happening is just going straight out into the darkness, and it's just being swallowed up by the void. And that would be eerie.
Yeah.
And there's several points where there were, the idea that there's panic being generated by this idea, it's genuine human reactions.
Yeah.
And when Rama finally does have Dawnbreak, and that causes a massive panicked reaction because all of them are like, "Oh God, what's happening?"
Yeah.
Run away! Run away! Run away! Run away!
I like how they go out, investigate stuff, and they find things. And they're like, I wonder what this is. And like it describes it, but it doesn't give you a definitive idea what things are.
Mm.
Or doesn't tell you, or like sometimes it's, oh, this reminds me of this. Like when he crawls down into what we'd like to find out is the light,
Yeah.
and he's down in the valley and he sees the cutaway and he goes, "This looks like a railway track, cut through."
Yeah.
And he throws like, "Oh well, that's probably the first thing you'd probably think of."
And then he goes to smash it, and he's like, "I'm a
No.
vandal.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit a plate glass window," and he doesn't. At that point, he's not conscious of how close he is to the truth.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
I mean, it is very interesting how it develops and how like you get descriptions of things, and it doesn't explain what it is.
Mm.
It's just like all the buildings that have no doors, no windows. Like, yep, what they are. The island in the middle of the sea. Yep, that's what it is.
Yep, but it's basically you can make educated guesses.
Yeah, but like it still felt like wild stab in the dark.
Yeah,
so to speak.
I mean, it's interesting to see that it's made by. Some of it's made, obviously, by the Rama committee that are only getting this stuff back from.
I mean, that's it's very interesting, but it's also very. It feels like natural. Like, yes, initially, it would just be a load of people guessing. Well, it might be this, it might be that.
Mm.
Who knows? Or when really they've got no idea. They're studying something an alien culture has made.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is. Is it functional? Is it decorative?
But there's the proper archaeological anthropology. Yeah, anthropological.
Yes.
Scatological.
Oh.
No, I was going to go into Gilbert and Sullivan. But there's the anthropological aspect of it where it is making best guess ideas. It's like, oh, we have this pot from the 2,000 years before, 2,000 years BC. What do we think it was used for? And then it just turns out to be something that they, kept grain in. Or...
Yeah. Well, no, see, I was getting the idea of like, like Time Team or the jokes about it. We found this tiny fragment which looks like a stone. Well, this is actually a pot which is this big, and it kept wine, and it's decorative, and it's got gold leaf around it. And
yes.
Like, what? Okay, sure.
Quite literally making the mountain out of the molehill.
But like, unlike that, in Rama, everything is brand new. Everything feels brand new to them, which they find a little odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like the part where everything's disposed of in the sea, which on current day Earth might not play.
Yes.
Great, but it's an interesting idea. Everything's broken down by the sea, and then he's used again.
The sea itself being almost like
organic soup.
Yeah, an organic soup where all of the stuff is developed from. To take it to the weird, to take it to the science fiction of Star Trek. The way replicators work would be with an organic slush, basically, that the replicators then pull from to create the things the fact that it wasn't New York. New York was essentially their production facility that took in
That's what they
that
reckoned.
organic.
Yeah, that was one of the theories.
But to have, I mean, there must have been something else within the sea, not just the sharks as they
Because
described them.
like, well, there's the starfish
Yeah.
sort of thing that floats up. Everyone goes, okay, we're not using the boat anymore.
Yes.
But like all the different creatures, like the bots, they were interesting and they were fun. They all had their little role.
It kind of reminded me, from a point of view of a completely different sci-fi universe, but Warhammer 40k, the same sort of idea as the Tyranids. And the thing is, it could have, with Rama, that could have literally just been a means to drain all of the resources. You could create life forms to drain resources from planets. If you needed something that needed to harvest the metal, you send down something which has been genetically engineered specifically to absorb all the heavy metals of a certain type into itself, then return to the Rama entity to then deposit that into the sea, where it's all kept as like a slush. And that concept interested me, and it could have very easily gone that way.
I mean, you would probably have to slow down first.
Yeah.
And go into some sort of orbit.
But then you start thinking that maybe the Hermians did actually have a possible point.
Yeah. But then again,
motivated by a different.
You could also say, the Church of the Fifth Cosmonaut. It could be Jesus sending the Ark for them.
Yes. Which is the other interesting idea. It could have been, we know you're about to suffer a planet-wide, or rather a solar system collapse. Yeah. Here's an Ark, put all your people on it, and get out of Dodge. Ones. Yeah. But it's interesting that, like you've said, it's discussed without cynicism. The only cynicism being the reactions of, the Hermians, which are politically motivated. That's probably the most cynical that it gets, but there's no reason there couldn't have been any of these, and you're discovering that alongside, Captain Norton and his crew, and to a lesser degree the Rama committee, who is then having to make educated guesses based on stuff which is being provided to them from light minutes away. I mean, I'm fascinated by Norton himself. He's making these discoveries. He's not trained for this at all.
Yeah, well, none of them are.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier about the right stuff. You've got the trailblazers. You've got the people that they set out to do these things with the intention of, oh yeah, it'll be fine. I can do this. You read some of that book, The Right Stuff, and these guys are so confident and swaggering in their abilities. It's like, I can do that. And if they die, they don't have the right stuff. But if they make it, it's clearly they clearly have the right stuff. They were clearly able to make this work, and so they go down in history as being the ones to take the leap, take the chances, risk their lives on a gamble that, if it pays off, they're remembered in legend. This guy was literally just in the area dropping scout probes, and he suddenly finds himself in this position of, oh wow, I'm going to be the first one to set foot on an alien spacecraft.
Yeah.
And it's weird that Clarke doesn't make more of a point of that. Like I say, the emotional detachment.
Yeah, he does. Because at some points it does come across as more of, he's slightly annoyed that he hasn't got shore leave. That he's got to do this.
I gotta go and see one of my wives.
Yeah, well, I mean, that might be reading in between the lines a bit.
Perhaps.
'Cause he does come off as very
Stoic.
neutral. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like the other crew members, you can say they've got like a sense of adventure, but also they are very controlled. They are very trained because they'll start to, like when they're going up and down the ladders, or like going down the stairwell, and they'll go, "No, I'm going too fast. I've got to slow down, and we've got to take this ration."
Yeah.
No, their training kicks in, and they go, "No, we can't go too fast, even though it's going to be fun."
Yes. The only one that kind of broke that mold was Pack.
Yes.
At least
Well, like he's
that's
a
how I
younger.
felt.
Yeah, he was a younger officer, wasn't he?
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
guy that was doing the lunar bike races.
Yeah. So
I
he
think-
felt like I don't want to say newer generation, but like, he hasn't. He's not fully seasoned like some of the others, so he's more willing to.
But he's got a bit of youthful spirit that did
Yes.
actually come through compared to the other characters.
Yeah. Which almost gets him killed.
Which, yes, almost gets him killed, admittedly. And it is kind of weird that after that point, you're introduced to him. He's almost like the Daredevil character, and he goes, "Yep, I can fly this air bike from one side of the Rama to the other." And he does it, and it does almost get him killed. This is 2/3 into the book.
Yeah.
About 2/3 into the book, he's introduced. You have not heard of him at this point.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there are like 20 plus crew, and
Oh yeah, no,
maybe about 8 get a name,
yeah.
let alone dialogue.
But he gets a couple of chapters.
Yeah.
But then, when he's rescued, I don't think you ever hear from him again.
Yeah.
And it kind of was an interesting.
It's like the Doctor.
She
Well,
comes up
no.
occasionally.
Occasionally, but it's like she's sort of in it, and then when she dissects the
That was
alien,
funny.
yeah, it seems like then she sort of disappears.
Until
I think
the
she's
very end
mentioned
chapter.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it feels like then she's sort of gone.
Just the idea of this poor doctor found one of the alien spiders, and it's like, great, I don't have to worry about murdering one of them. It's like, I can see your
Yeah.
impulses, love, but don't turn into Halsey. But no, it's that point where it's like, great, one of them's died by accident, so I can actually look at it and dissect it and not have to feel bad because I caused its demise. And then she immediately puts the scalpel in and presumably gets an electric shock off it.
Which I mean is interesting, like it's for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like that bit's explained. Yeah.
I'm just amused at the idea that she put the scalpel into it and it caused her to shout so hard that the bloody super chimps had to be calmed down. And they're another.
That's a thing that, like, if this was actually sort of done sort of today, would I think be taken out. The super chimps, just for the fact
They're called simps.
Well, yeah, they're called simps, which has a different
Arthur C.
meaning.
Yes, yeah. Arthur C. Clarke never got to the OnlyFans generation.
Yes.
For better or worse.
But he coined the word simp.
Yes.
Means super chimp. I'm not sure whether that's a good or bad thing, but yes. The chimps, because like it was written at a time where animals were experimented on and also tested. Nowadays, not so much, or if at all. At nice, you could see as like huskies in the art, but using chimps, and because they've got a certain level of intelligence, and also they're bred for a certain level of intelligence, they can do certain jobs, and also be taught new jobs if needed.
Yeah.
And also be taught where on the ship not to go.
Mm.
It does.
It's whether
It crosses the like ethical line.
Yeah, it's whether it crosses the
Oh.
line between this is a working animal and this is something that we have deliberately designed. I mean, they do go out of their way to make a point that they are obviously well kept, they're
Yeah.
well looked after, and the
They're
captain
liked.
even captain even has a favourite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like everyone sort of has their own favourite.
But it's that thing of, is it a pet, or is it that?
Is it a pet who cooks for you, or is it?
Yeah, and that, I don't know. It's not something that I would say that Clarke has designed because he doesn't care.
No.
It's not that he's trying to make a point.
I think it was just an extrapolation of back in like the 70s and the 60s. They were actually still using animal test subjects, but also, the Leicas and sort of being used in space and being tested. So, I think it's more of an extension of that rather than anything else.
Yeah.
We find out in the end of the book, every astronaut is sterilised.
Yes, and that was another interesting point. The idea that he's got...
Yeah, he's got so many children, but they're not made the traditional way.
Well, yeah, because when earlier in the book it didn't actually come out as that particularly, because it was like, oh yes, he's got a wife on Mars with a child, he's got a wife on Earth with a child, but with an option for another one. And the one comment is an option for another wife. It's like, don't be stupid. But the idea of it being an option for another child didn't hit me until that point where it was mentioned at the end of the book that, oh yeah, he's been sterilized because you don't want cosmic ray mutation happening. So all of his sperm has essentially been murdered and they're using stuff from storage. But then he's got to actually have permission to use that to have another child, which is another thing.
You'd think that goes into the everyday of like living on another planet, like Mars or overpopulated Earth. There would become population controls in.
Well, that was the other thing that came out to me. When Clarke is talking about they tried to put a population control onto Earth to get the population down to 1 billion. Now, at the time that this was written, Earth had... where did I put my notes? Yeah, at the time it was written, 3.92 billion people on Earth. The idea of trying to get that down to 1 billion from 3.9 billion at that point would have been interesting. But now, I mean, this was in the 1970s. I did the checks. We're now up to 7.8 billion. By the time that we get to the time period that Clarke was writing in, they're estimating 11 billion people will be on this planet. I mean, that's just mind-boggling.
You've also got to remember, in the book as well, there are a few other places to go.
Yes, there are other planets.
The moon is heavily inhabited.
And Mars is suffering from underpopulation.
Yeah, which is why it isn't said in the book, but I thought maybe Norton had to get, because like he was part of the space program stuff, and also travelling about politically and like diplomatically, it's probably best to get another wife off Earth. Also helping out Mars by improving their gene pool and stuff, also their population.
Well, that's where I wondered whether the polygamy aspect came in, because if you're trying to control population on Earth, it would be one thing. But if you're then trying to push the idea of we need to have more people growing on extra
Well,
planets.
also it does seem like, especially when they go into like conference, they're all talking about like their respective planets or moons. It does seem like population is sort of the dick measuring contest.
Because
it's like I've got this many population, so you should listen to me.
There is an aspect of that, but then there was also the Hermians from Mercury, which I loved that. I love the byplay of that. It's like Hermes, Mercury in the other pantheon. I can't remember which pantheon. Roman? Mercury's Roman, Hermes is Greek. Or is it the other way around?
I think Hermes is Greek.
Yeah, I think Hermes is Greek. Because the Heracles.
Yes, pronunciation is going to be a problem.
I think
is a Greek.
Also, I think Wonder Woman meets him in the comics. That's my reference I'm going with.
Yeah, there's the dick measuring contest with we have more population, but then arguably when it comes to the Hermians and they've colonized the surface of Mercury, they have access to virtually unlimited supplies of heavy metals and resources, and just the idea that they can beam collected solar radiation out into space to act as
power.
Yeah.
But no one wants it because they don't fully trust them.
Yes. But it's that thing of, you can imagine that's the reason they're pissed off, that why is everything taking place on the moon?
Yeah.
We clearly are the most powerful. And when Rama...
We provide resources for everything. So.
And when they're talking about, well, if Rama, if they suddenly pull an orbital burn at the periapsis, or perihelion...
No, periapsis. Perihelion.
Yep.
If you want.
An apsis is the furthest or nearest point in an orbit of a planetary body. There are two apsides in any orbit, with the nearest point being the periapsis of the orbit and the furthest being the apoapsis, unless you're referring to an orbit round the Sun, and in which case the closest point to the Sun is called the perihelion and the farthest is the aphelion. So in this instance, the terminology we should be using is the perihelion. However, this is a gross oversimplification of the terminology. The names also change if the primary planetary body is Earth, for instance, in which case they become the apogee and the perigee. If it's Jupiter, it's different again. If it's another star, well, you get the idea. But their entire thing was that, well, if they pull an orbital burn there and decide to go into the orbit of the Sun, we suddenly lose our edge.
Yeah,
because they'll then become the controlling power in the entire solar system.
The Sun is ours, it belongs to us.
Yes, and there's that political thing of, we own all the oil. But their motivation, the motivations behind that, it's like, we can't have that. We can't have someone else suddenly turn up and steal our thunder. Which is, the reason why they decide, we gotta nuke it.
Yeah.
They can't be in charge. that aspect just... I can see why that reaction was there.
Yeah.
But the idea... I don't know, there's the reactionary element of, we're trying to save... we're trying to save the rest, potentially save the entire solar system from alien invaders. That's how it's pushed outwardly, but politically you can just see that we don't want them to take our special sun away. they'll take away all our power, all our influence. We can't allow them to do that. And interesting that Clarke was able to get across that
Yeah,
idea.
he does seem oddly human,
Yeah.
even though, he's not focusing on humans. And also, like I said before, it wasn't cynical. That might be the most cynical point in it.
Or it's just my cynical
Or,
reading of it.
Well, no. I mean, they do send a bomb,
Yeah.
and they are prepared to blow it up.
It's funny that the most religious man on the staff is taking apart the nuclear weapon.
But I do like how all that sequence plays out.
Interesting stuff.
Well, I mean, the change back slightly. Adaptations.
Mm.
Now, I remember I was in high school when I first heard that this might go into in a film.
Yeah.
And it was brought by Morgan Freeman. That's so long ago.
And he does still want to do it.
Oh, yes, he still owns right. He still wants to do it. And apparently, well, there's a director attached. What is Paul Villeneuve?
No,
Is it David Villeneuve?
Denise Villeneuve.
Oh, Denise Villeneuve.
Yes, pronunciation is going to be a problem.
It's the guy
Yeah.
that did the new Dune film.
Yes. There's a lot to go on with Dune. With Rama, there's not much to it. I mean, there's a load of strings that you could flesh out,
Mm.
but Rama itself is not. Like, I can't see the movie being in dark for half of it,
Yeah.
and then the lights come on.
It would
And
make for some interesting cinematography,
yes.
certainly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see it like done as a film.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be commercially successful in any way, shape, or form. I think if Hollywood executives got their hands on it,
yes,
it's going to be awful.
Right. When do we have the aliens come out with the laser guns?
Yeah. I can see. Oh, you've got to have the aliens. You've got to have the aliens in it,
Yeah.
and them.
There would at least be a picture of the alien, even if they
Hmm.
adapted everything else. The point at the end where you've got the alien bandoliers,
Yeah.
there would have to be an alien wearing it,
Yeah.
just to show you that's what the alien looks like. And it's like, you don't.
Yeah.
Imaginations.
That's not the point. Yeah.
Imaginations are better in that respect.
But in that
It's from
respect,
my
read the book. But
Well, yeah.
listen to the film. But no, the film. Yeah, the film. I think would be too slow for a modern audience. I don't know if that's me being cynical. Like I would like it. I would watch it. I think though commercially though, it's going to be too. But yeah, I could see him taking out the Sims. I could see him taking out the wives.
I mean, I could see them taking out the simps simply for the fact that they're introduced. They're kind of an idea that
I mean, there's a lot
introduced
of ideas that could easily be taken out. I'm like, when I say take out the Sims, I don't mean that as negative.
No,
it's just like you could easily take that out and you lose nothing.
Well, the reason I think the simps are possibly in there as an idea in the first place was because the simp handler is the one that correctly recognizes what New York is, and that these creatures have been engineered to do a job, and this is their manufacturing plant. And perhaps he can sort of see the idea with his charges.
Yeah. But I could see the same thing they could do. Instead of simps, it's little AI robots, which are very marketable and in shops now, so your children can buy them. And they're like little robots with your beep, 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 beep. I mean, oh, look how well they sell. But that's cynical.
Yes, extremely cynical.
But yeah,
I mean,
I
they've
like.
been trying. They've
Don't
been
get
trying
me
to
wrong.
get funding for it since the early
Yeah.
2000s.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's, from what I've seen and heard of Doom, he seems to be the best director to do it.
Mm.
I just think if Doom Part 2 has any, let's say, financial issues, like it doesn't make enough money at the box office, Rendezvous with Rama is dead.
Mm.
I can't see people. I really don't think it will get green light.
Mm. I don't think it'll get greenlit. I don't think Freeman will see
No.
it if it
Like,
does.
don't get me wrong. Morgan Freeman's been trying to do this for decades, and I wish him well.
Mm.
You know, I will support him, but under the Hollywood system when he started and when he's now, it just wouldn't get produced. Thank you for joining us. Hope our rambling has been entertaining. Well, I hope it's been informative as well, but what are we reading next week?
What are we reading next week? Is it that one?
Hey, we will be going back to Star Trek and back to sort of a Destiny series, and we'll be reading Star Trek Losing the Peace, which is a follow-on book from the 3 Destiny books we started.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you for that. Enjoy yourself, guys. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.
I fucking hate you. Literally, I have just started to record. No sex in the corridors and frightening the simps. that just no frightening the simps with sex. I'm just thinking, oh, Clarke, if only you'd have lived to OnlyFans.
Yeah.